I've had a little bit of a problem because Facebook is no longer allowing us to stream directly to my Facebook group. So if you're watching this on my Facebook business page, please say hello. And if you are watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube, please make sure you say hello, drop a comment below. Let me know that you're watching this live. If you are watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay so I know you are there. Let's just talk about this. There's just so much to do, right? We have a million things to do as entrepreneurs, and especially if you're working alone, it can be really overwhelming, all the different things you have to do. If you are just launching your business, and this is, the first time launching any type of an online business, you could just be so overwhelmed with all the tech challenges, right? I mean, there's so many decisions you have to make. What platforms are you going to use? What, software, what social media platforms, where are you going to be? What are you going to do? How are you going to do social media? How are you going to build a website? How are you going to get clients? It just gets overwhelming. And so today I wanted to talk about that because one of the things that I get is they're confused about what they need to do and what is most important to do right now, right? So I wanted to just talk a little bit about that because it can really be chaotic, and the confusing of what to do now. Part of that is because everything feels really chaotic, right? And if you're marketing and you don't really have a strategy, you may be finding yourself haphazardly marketing your business and it feels really chaotic and disjointed. So let's talk about it. So one of the things that you can do first and foremost to stop overwhelm is to build yourself a work management system. I teach the framework of Scrum in my course called Take Charge of Your Biz, and it's a really, really good framework for small teams and for solopreneurs because it helps you focus in on specific things that you need to do in a short period of time. And by doing that, you have the ability to get the things out of your radar, right? During that particular time, it's what we call a sprint. You're working in sprints and you're putting a finite amount of things in that sprint, and you have a sprint goal, and that's how you work, right? You just keep doing these little sprints, and over time, all your stuff gets built and created, and you're less overwhelmed because you have fewer things on your plate or on your radar that's making you totally crazy. The first thing you can do is get a work management system in place. Now, you might have a different way of doing it. Maybe you adopted a different strategy on how to manage your work, but Scrum is a really good way to do that, and you can take advantage of that in my Take Charge of Your Biz challenge. Right now, it is available for a limited time only because we're making some big changes coming up. It's available for a limited time for $37 at Take Charge of Your Biz challenge. And that is a really good course to help you immediately. You will have, like, the very first day of the course, you will have your work organized and you'll feel much more in charge of the things going on in your business. So that is a critically important piece, is always having work management. If you don't have control of how you manage work in your business, you're probably not going to succeed because it's just going to finally, pile up and get to be so much that you can't get things done, and you end up giving up because you burn out. You burn out from trying to juggle it all, from all the having to stretch your mind so much, right? And having to constantly be worrying and managing all that stuff. One of the things with Scrum is that we don't really have due dates within the Scrum framework, right? The due date is the end of the sprint. Have you ever tried to put on your calendar, okay, on this day, I'm going to do these things. And then on this day, I'm going to do these things. And this day, and I'm going to do these things, right? And so then by Wednesday, you've missed a few things from Monday, maybe a couple things from Tuesday or one thing from Tuesday. And by Wednesday, you're already overwhelmed because you've missed a bunch of your due dates, and now you're scrambling, and you're just, it's such a headache, right? Having to manage these little due dates all the time. So instead of having a bunch of little due dates all throughout, you just have one due date, the end of the sprint. And so it forces you to plan so that you make sure that you're doing things ahead of time. I actually plan everything before the month starts so that I know exactly what I'm doing. And then I'm just doing the actual things rather than the planning and organizing and framing things out and doing my outlines and the promotions as well, right? So if you kind of start working ahead, then it makes your life a lot easier because you're not stressing over these deadlines, and then working in sprints is really great. Another thing that I talk about, how to create a triage type of thing or an intake process for your ideas, right? Because as entrepreneurs, we're creators and we always have ideas coming in, and they can be really disruptive when you're trying to focus, you're trying to get work done, and all these ideas are coming because you're working on something that's spawning all these ideas. Then you end up getting either down a rabbit hole or you're so overwhelmed and your brain is so overloaded that it makes it really hard for you to focus. Create a little system to do intake of your ideas. So you have a place to put them, and then you go through and like triage them, right? You determine if it's, a project, or if it's like a new idea that needs to go into a strategic plan for the following year, or if it's a project, or if it's something you need to do more immediately. If you have an emergency on your website, like you can't take payments, pretty much everything needs to stop while you fix that thing, right? But if you find other little errors, let's say on your website, maybe a spelling error, that can go into your triage. It goes into your triage area, where then you can determine what priority that is and whether it's worth fixing or not. You did find some problems on that opt-in page or something, and you want to fix it. Well, if you're already planning like perhaps a complete rewrite of that sales page or that opt-in page for next month or 2 months from now, maybe it's not worth taking the time to worry about fixing those things right now. Maybe you can just live with it while you work on your other higher priority items. It's all about prioritizing, right? And so the Scrum way we prioritize is always must have, should have, could have, and won't have at this time. And that's really, really critical. And it's such an easy, simple way to prioritize your work, instead of saying, well, tell me what the number one is, and then the number two, the number three. It's much easier to determine if something's a must have, or a should have, or a could have, right? And then sometimes those could haves will become won't haves, right? I talk about the iPhone all the time. When they first launched in 2007, they left out the forward-facing camera and they left out flash photography because I guess maybe the technology wasn't ready, and they launched on time without those things. And they still sold 1.3 million devices that in the 6 months after it was released. It was released in July of 2007. By December, they had sold 1.3 million devices. I mean, that's pretty incredible, right? So think about that. If you have something that's really like a could have, and you're working on it and you make your project late, you're costing yourself money, right? And like with Apple, they weren't going to do that. They didn't want to sacrifice that revenue coming in, because what does that revenue do for them? The revenue actually fuels that project so they can keep working on it. So if you start bringing money in, now you've got some fuel in the engine of that project, and you can keep on going through continuous improvement processes and then release your iPhone 2, your iPhone 3, your iPhone 4, right? So if you were to think about a particular project or product or something in your business, tell me in the comments, where are you? Are you an iPhone 1? Are you iPhone 2, iPhone 3? Where are you at in the iterative process of improving on that thing? And if you've never actually done that, then I want to ask you why. Why haven't you done that? Because that's the thing that's really going to keep bringing your business forward, right? You create a lead magnet, it grows up into a course, right? Over time, right? Because you go through a continuous improvement process. Same thing, same idea with the iPhone. It could make and receive phone calls, and you didn't have to text the old stupid way. You had an actual keypad, right? A virtual keypad. And so they could now compete with the BlackBerry. The BlackBerry had the metal little keypad, not a virtual one, but they wanted to keep up with that. So let me know in the comments where you are on yours, and if you think maybe taking a more iterative approach to your business might be helpful for you to manage the overwhelm, manage the work of your business, and then have your things grow up instead of maybe you put something out there and you do a little bit of marketing and it doesn't sell and you're like, well, obviously nobody wants that. Well, that is just so untrue, right? Because almost anything can be sold with good marketing. If you're old enough to remember pet rocks, put it in the comments if you're old enough to remember a pet rock. You can see what I'm saying, right? So keep doing that. So what that all boils down to is work management, right? And implementation management. Everybody confuses implementation with productivity. And so I want to make that distinction. When you're productive, right, you're getting things done more efficiently, more effectively, and you're able to get a lot of work done possibly in a day, right? But when you're actually implementing, that's different than productivity. Implementation means you're coordinating tasks. You're making sure that thing A gets done before thing B, because thing B needs the work from thing A to get completed, right? So you're doing a lot of coordination and management of those tasks. And then hopefully you're prioritizing and estimating how long things take. So that leads me back to another thing that's in my course that you can get is not only is prioritizing important, but learning how to estimate how long things take you to do is critical. It's critical, and it is one of the harder things to do. When I worked in IT, that was one of the hardest things for people to do. And the way you do it is you start estimating. I use the bigger than a bread box formula, which is it going to take me longer than 1 hour or shorter than 1 hour? If it's going to take me longer, I keep going up. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. If it's going to take 4 hours or more, I keep breaking it down into smaller and smaller tasks until I can estimate exactly how long it's going to take. And, 4 hours is about long enough, right? Because you can only sit and work on something in one sitting for so long. So it's nice to have little milestones to get to, right? Like 2 hours, like, okay, you sit down for 2 hours, you focus, you get this thing done, you're at a milestone. And then you pick up where you left off and you're at another milestone, right? So estimating is really a good way to do it. And we have all these wonderful apps you can put on your phone that are like work log type apps where you can clock in and clock out. So when you start something, you can clock in. And when you are done with it, you can clock out. And then you know how long it took you, right? And you can now look at your estimate and determine if you were accurate or not. And that's how you learn how to estimate, right? One of the reasons why people don't estimate well in the IT world is because they never go back and check, how long it really took them to work on it. So that's the managing overwhelm by using a good work management system and an implementation system, and not worrying so much about productivity, but worrying about efficiency and implementation, right? And coordination and estimates and prioritizing. Okay. So stopping the confusion. My whole thing's about stopping overwhelm, confusion, and chaos, right? So the confusion part, you start working on something and you get stuck, you hit an obstacle, and now you've got to go do some research or get some help or whatever. When you hit something like within your, let's say you're working on your email software or something, and you hit a stumbling block, some sort of obstacle, and you're not sure how to fix it. Well, I would recommend always going to YouTube first, or just Google searching, and start trying to find that, like a specific answer to your problem, right? And one of the reasons why I've, I guess, gained some popularity as a coach is because I have this really good ability to do Google searches to find solutions. Now with AI, we can just put a code problem in AI and it'll tell us how to code it. We had to go and search on the internet, and I was coding in the early days too, when there really wasn't much on the internet for coding certain languages and stuff. So the first thing you want to do is go and search that. The second thing you want to do is, I had an incident where a client of mine, she's working in FEA Create, that software called FEA Create. And there's nothing out there when you Google search FEA Create how to fix something. But FEA Create is sitting on the high level platform. So if you go to, if you Google search high level, go high level, how to blah, 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 you can find the solution and then go back into FEA Create, and usually you can figure out how to do it. So think about what your software is built on, and understanding that, and knowing that is going to help you stop that confusion and dealing with that. Now, when it comes to knowing what to do and what to do first, remember we have to start that prioritization, right? And so one of the things in my programs that I do is I help my clients build the foundation of their business, right? So we have a specific framework that we go through in terms of making sure the pieces are in place. Look at what pieces you actually need in place, not necessarily the method of how you do it. First, look at those components of what pieces do you need in place. You need a website, you need social media, right? You need an email software, something so you can market to your people and collect email addresses. You definitely need a lead magnet. There's all these things that you need, right? So when you look at those components, then you can start looking individually at them and decide what platform you want to use, and, then how to do it, like what your sales page should be like, and all those things, right? So if you start compartmentalizing things into components, it's going to be a lot easier for you to stop that confusion. Let's say now you're at a point now where I want to have an automated webinar for my business. Then you might want to seek out a coach who focuses on automated webinars, right? Or seek out a coach that focuses on, awesome email campaigns or something like that. You can do something like that, right? When you hire those coaches, I want to say buyer beware, but not in a way, because not insulting that coach, because those coaches are very good. I've worked with them, right? I've worked with a lot of coaches. You want to get your foundation in place first, because a lot of times what happens is people are not prepared. Raise your hand if you took the One Funnel Away challenge. When you take that, it's all great and dandy, because he's like, okay, you're going to build this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, right? But if you don't even have an idea what you're going to sell yet, you end up stepping back like, uh-oh, I've got all these pieces I need to figure out, right? I got to figure out what my framework is. I got to figure out how I'm going to teach it. I got to figure out what I'm going to teach. I got to figure out who I'm teaching it to, and all those things, right? And so if you haven't done those things yet, then I recommend you start with a foundational type of coach first. Kind of like what I do is I help you, make some quick decisions and get your business up in 3 months and get your first paying client. And I do that because I want you to be able to prove your offer converts first before you go investing tons of money in other things, right? So let's get that thing out there. Let's get a few leads. Let's get your first paying client. And once you have that, then you're much more confident about investing in things, right? And moving forward with your business. But until then, it can be a little tough, right? It can be a little tough because you're scared, right? You're kind of scared. You're worried about whatever, there's a zillion things you could be worried about. I don't even need to list them. I'm sure that it's already going off in your head exactly what's going on, right? It's tricky to launch your business. My program is designed to just help you just get beyond that and just focus on the work, get the work done, and then get it out there, prove that your offer can convert. And then we go through a continuous improvement process to get everything going. And the continuous improvement process is the place where now you can start looking into coaches that specialize in one thing or another, if that's what you want to do. But I highly, highly recommend working with a coach if you are confused, because that coach is going to help get that noise out of there for you and help you focus and get something actually accomplished, right? And if you commit to implementation on your part, you really will have success with most coaches, right? Most any coach, you'll have success if you implement. The problem comes with the implementation, right? Which leads me back to point number 1, right? You've got to have a work management system in place and an implementation system in place for you to be able to implement effectively and in a timely manner, because the clock's ticking, right? When you start working with a coach, that clock can be ticking if you're in a 3-month program or a 6-month program or whatever, right? And so think about that, right? Get a coach to fast track you so you can get that thing out there and prove it's going to convert. And then um, just make sure you have that implementation, that ability to implement. Okay. And then chaos, stopping the chaos. Once you get that stuff in place, and if you've hired a coach and that coach has mapped things out for you, you follow that map and you get things done, that's great. But now you might be left on your own, having to market your business by yourself, having to do these things along with meeting with coaching clients, meeting with whatever your client is. They may not be coaching clients. If you're a service professional, whatever you do, you have to meet with your clients, you have to meet with prospects, you have to do your marketing, you have to keep building your content and your material, create a monthly marketing plan so that you aren't haphazardly promoting your business. And that is one of the things that I teach my clients right from the get-go is we start with a marketing plan. So we get the foundation in place, we get a marketing plan going, and you don't have to make decisions about the whole entire year right off the bat, because remember, we're in a fast track to try to prove your offer converts and then get your marketing in place so that it's an engine, right? It's optimized, or we're in the process of optimizing it, and it's an engine that we're starting and revving up so that you can start using data to manage your marketing, right? To improve on your marketing, to get your open rates up and your engagement up. You can't focus on everything at once, so it helps you once you have that, like a monthly campaign in place. And if you record everything and you're not haphazard about it, then you collect the data on it, and now you can start more analytically looking at that data to help you make better decisions about your business going forward. Okay, so stop overwhelm by creating a work management system, an implementation system, so you can manage all the work that you have. Stop the confusion, hire a coach. It fast tracks you. I can't tell you how many people have followed me for years, and they always say, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. And the problem with that is if they would have just, bit the bullet and made it happen the first time, they would have already been making money by now. They wouldn't be in that stage where they're still not making money, right? And so think about that, right? Because it takes investment in yourself, investment in your time, investment of your money. And I had a coach that always said, it's either your time or your money, right? And it really is. It's, you have a lot of work to do, and it's either going to take your time or it's going to take your money. So when you think about that, where is it better for you to invest your money? In a coach, and then you do the work yourself, or in somebody who's going to do the work for you? But buyer beware on people who are going to do the work for you, because anybody can hang up a sign and say they're a virtual assistant. So you really need to make sure that you're organized enough so that you have roles and responsibilities in your business so that you know who you're hiring. Believe me, I've made the mistake of trying to shortcut that, and I paid the price dearly. So make sure of that, right? And that's part of the implementation and work management, right? Is figuring out what roles and responsibilities you have. You're wearing a zillion hats, right? And so what are the roles, and then how can you replace your time with somebody else? And I always recommend not only the roles and responsibilities, but then start looking at the stuff that's high labor but low skill. Then you can hire somebody at a lower rate of pay and get some of that grunt work off of your plate. And then somebody who has really good high skills, right? And maybe it's low labor, or maybe it's DIY. So that's working with a coach, that's working with a funnel expert or something like that, some Facebook ads expert who's really going to guarantee their work and guarantee that you get results and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of the idea with making sure. I lost track of my thought for some reason. That you want to make sure that you're hiring the right people, so don't hire too soon before you kind of have mapped out all the things and all the responsibilities. So that leads me to this really fun little workbook that I created. It's called The Alter Egos of the Solopreneur. because I was thinking about like Taylor Swift and how she has all these little alter egos. If you've ever seen that video, what's it called? Look what you made me do, right? You know that song, right? Um, she has in there all her little alter egos are at the end and they're all like arguing with each other, and it's just kind of funny. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about all the hats that we wear as solopreneurs, and so I created a workbook called The Alter Egos of the Solopreneur, and I just go through kind of all the roles that you're playing, and it's not even exhaustive. There's so many roles that we're playing as solopreneurs that it would have been a 100-page book. And it already is quite a long book. I don't know, 10 or 13 pages or something like that. So you can get that starting on May 6th only and exclusively in the Coach and Profit giveaway, hosted by my friend and my former coach and my colleague, Stephanie Treasure. She's an amazing host and her events are always fabulous. And so I want you to get involved with that. I'm going to be putting the link out soon, starting on May 6th. It doesn't open until then. So if you're not on my email list, get on my email list. You can go to my website at thescrumshop.com and opt into the lead magnet on the first page. You can also DM me with your email or drop it in the comments or drop a thing that says, yes, I want to be on your list. I want the reminder. So you could just put reminder in the list. How's that? Or in the comments. And I'll send you a reminder. Okay, because it's a really fun little workbook, and it'll just kind of maybe help set your mind at ease so that you aren't so hard on yourself, remembering that you're playing a lot of roles. And when you're implementing and you're doing your work, it'll just make you a little bit more aware of what role you're playing when you're doing that thing, because it's really important, right? It's really important for you to understand what you're doing and what role you're playing, because when you get down to the details of your work and stuff, you kind of end up having to be an expert in a lot of things. And so by knowing what the role is that you're playing, you can start deciding, is this something I really want to pursue and really learn this skill to be an expert, or would I rather just pay somebody else to do it, your money or your time? Okay, so I hope that helps. So make sure you put something in there. If you want a reminder for the Coach and Profit giveaway, put it in the comments, reminder, and I will get that to you. And then you can get my workbook called The Alter Egos of the Solopreneur. It's kind of fun. On May 29th, I'm doing a masterclass called Business Engine Optimization, and it's the 5-step profit acceleration formula. And this masterclass is really a good masterclass. And you know what? I'm not going to be offering replays anymore. If you want this information, it's such good information. It's very actionable. It's not a bunch of theories, very actionable things that you can do. And if you want this, you're going to have to show up. It's on May 29th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. You can get registered at thescrumshop.com/sign up. And I will drop that in the comments as well. I'd love to have you there. I will be offering complimentary business assessments for people who come to the event, and that way you can kind of see what my program can do for your business in the form of profit and revenue. You can start getting some of the results that I'm getting with my clients right now. Some of them are on track to make 4 or 5 times what they made last year. It's very exciting. If you're at that point where not only are you ready to prove your offer converts, or if you've already proven it and you're still on that struggle bus, this is for you. It's going to help simplify your marketing and make it more of a maintenance thing. And I'm going to give you actionable things that you can do, tweaks that you can make that will work right away. Get signed up. It's at thescrumshop.com/sign up. Okay. All right, everybody. I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you want to learn more about my program. I'd love to have a chat. All right. Take care. We'll see you in the comments.